Welcome in the second season of Line by Line. And today I'm welcoming Agent from the Secret Radio.
Hello, Nodrik. It's always a pleasure to see you. Your hair looks lovely, and you
Thank
match
you.
the flowers.
Thank you so much. The flowers are by the painter EM, who was in the episode 100. We are analyzing a song, The Underdog by Spoon. Agent, why did you pick that song?
Well, there's a lot of stories with this song. So I am Agent, formerly Agent 69. Now I'm just Agent, and or Agent is someone that we both know calls me. Um, so I used to volunteer at this radio station called CJSW, and I was the aging, jaded, pseudo indie hipster. And I remember there's a couple of times where I would listen to the radio station all the time, that radio station when I lived in Calgary. I sh yeah, and this song came on. It used to be on a commercial. I was like, "What is that song?" And I loved it. And then me and you were talking about being the underdog, and I went because I was trying to pick three songs. I was going to pick either Sloane's autobiography because 101 is like school, or I was going to pick I can't remember what the other one was. It doesn't matter. Um, and I thought, no, it's the underdog. And then I'm also wearing my Kamloops judo hoodie, which reminds me of being the underdog because I'm just heavy enough to be in the heaviest weight division. So whenever I went into judo, my senseis would laugh because I would go in there 2 kilograms into the heaviest open weight division with 300 kilogram, 6 foot tall giants. And they'd be like, watch this. He has no chance. But every time I just, went in there, just like drama or like when I was in drama, or judo drama, same thing. You're training, it's too late to train now. Just go do your best. And there you go. So that's what and then the underdog. Why so when I mentioned the underdog and you said no, the underdog, that's it. What strikes you about the underdog? How about being an underdog?
Yeah, I actually always felt different and like a little bit ostracized, kind of social anxiety thing. The only time I could open up would be on stage somehow, but in real life, it was an effort always. And when I heard the concept of the underdog, I guess I kind of felt good. Like, oh, I'm the underdog. That's who I am. Underdogs are like my people. So,
Yeah.
to the honors.
Okay. So, this is interesting. Picture yourself in the living room, your pipe and slippers set out for you. I know you think that it ain't too far. Wow, this relates. So,
Mm-hmm.
so we talked about how I work at a hospital as a cleaner, but my prior volunteer position was at an old age home. And for a second there I thought, is this my life? Am I just going to volunteer at the old age home and then eventually move in there? And that's like the progression. Like, will I always be in disability for the rest of my life, right? And then things are getting better, right? I'm the underdog. I'm rising out of the ashes, and but I think of this like where's he going to go with this? Your pipe and slipper set out. You know it ain't that far. Like when you look back in your life, what are the memories are you going to do? Are you going to remember being the underdog that overcame challenges? You know,
My grandma is 83.
oh,
She will be this year 84 in summer. And last year, uh, she had to bury her husband,
mm,
move out of the house in which she lived for 60 years, move in with my sister, then move in with my mom, and after that, escape with my mom and all the cats uh, after being in a cellar basically for a month without gas and water. Then I escaped into a safe house just for a week. And because of war, they had to move again into a different city. So she she is just 83, and she had these adventures. Now I call her, and she told me, I feel strong. It's okay. I can do it. I can own up to it. I hope I can make new friends in Odessa. Uh, and she said, like, I'm enjoying day by day.
Mm.
And when I see it here, your pipe and sleepers set out for you. There are actually people who like that isn't that bad. There are people who have set out for them more travel, adventure, even forced, but still something of that sort. We don't know what will happen tomorrow.
Do you know what I think of?
Hmm.
Bilbo Baggins, this pipe and slipper. He's in this
Oh,
comfortable rabbit hole, or what do they call it? A hobbit hole? I
hmm.
can't remember. There's a name for it. I'm
In
sure that there's one.
Shire, those
This tire.
hobbit houses.
Yeah. And he's just smoking his pipe, and then suddenly this wizard knocks on the door, and he goes on this adventure. And then he comes back home, and and he's like, yeah, he's comfortable back there with his pipe and his slippers, and Frodo's there. And on his birthday, he disappears or whatever, and he leaves the ring with Frodo. But he went on that adventure, right? And they called it
Yeah.
adventure. Me and you have talked about before in my story
Hmm.
too, right? A long
Yeah.
time ago, I one of the things that I'm proud that I did was I packed all my stuff into storage, and my plan was to go to film school, but it didn't happen. Um, so and I went on the ships. I said I'm going to go on the ships. It's an adventure. I didn't know where I was. I had a midlife crisis. I'm packing and I went onto the ships, and my first ship was the Inspiration. And while I was on the Inspiration, I was going to save money up. I was going to film school, and while I was there, I was have these adventures, and I did. And you know what? When I am old and look in my pipe and slippers, I'm going to remember some of the people that I met on the ships, and maybe hopefully some other adventures, like maybe when I visit you in Europe.
Yeah, totally, totally. I would love to meet you. And we can have adventures all our life as long as like health allows it. And I actually am sure you do have adventures when you described your day. So I'm in my job, I'm walking the hospital corridors, and I see this story happening. There is a woman, there is a butterfly, there is this internal experiences that she has, and you kind of see that, recognize it, connect it, and then you move on to another room, and then you see something else. So
Yeah, yeah. So
every
like,
day you live new adventures.
yeah. So I've seen things at the hospital, and it's really the debt. Like I'm just I'm a cleaner, but I consider myself a servant. Like the servants in like Game of Thrones or things. You don't see those characters, but those characters see all the things that are going on with the kings and everything, and they're just kind of like clean. They see everything. Like it's like there's that play that they Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is do you know who they are? They're the two like pole arm guards in Hamlet, and their role
Oh,
it's considered a small role because they just kind of stand at the door with their pole arms or whatever. But they see, so there's someone made this play about these characters that just watch everything unfold in Hamlet. And it's like, what do they see? You know what I mean? And that's how I feel at the hospital. Like I'm not the doctor telling people that their stories, and I'm not the family saying goodbye to their loved ones, but I'm in there cleaning the rooms and I'm seeing all this. Like I'm cleaning the room beside a baby that's premature, and then I go out into the thing and I hear the nurse talking about how that baby is getting medication because she's born addicted to drugs. I'm cleaning the room, and a butterfly, and this lady's like, the butterfly in a hospital means that they're in their last days, right? So the other day, this was my adventure too, right? I cleaned a room of a person that passed away, and I was morbidly curious. It was like I was kind of drawn. I was like, I don't, because they couldn't get the body out right away because the coroner wasn't there, and so I was there, and I was like, oh, someone just died there. So I go in and I clean the room after they pass away, and that bed's ready for the next person. And I almost fell into like a kind of like, what's the point? So you just die, and then all of a sudden they make your bed, and then someone else go takes that bed. But then I was cleaning another room, and whenever every once in a while over the announcements, these chimes, a baby was born. You know, I cleaned one room, someone passed away. I clean another room, a baby's born.
It's the circle of life. Uh, time. Our whole life is the time. Actually, everything is time. It it's those moments we have now. This is our life. And when our life ends, we don't have time anymore. Our time ran out. So the baby was born with all this time in front of it. And then it's like always that clock that runs. Kind of. We have, as long as we have time, we have adventures. And adventures don't have to go too far.
Mm.
You notice things. Like I would not look at my phone in a public transportation, but look at people.
I do that too.
And
You know what I've been
yeah,
thinking? This is an
yeah.
aside. I'm on the bus and I see all these people on their phones, they're looking into space or whatever, and I think, how many people are here in this room right now? How many are present on the bus? And then every once in a while I see someone else and they're looking around and I'm like, they're here. Who's that guy? You know what I mean? Who's that guy that's paying attention? So you do that too, you pay attention.
Yeah, because it feels like if I would be gaming on a phone, that's the biggest waste of time. It's like if I would be like throwing Angry Birds at pigs, I would just lose the time to see around and appreciate uh, other things, like looking out of the window, driving through Warsaw, and seeing that, remembering things, writing a poem in my head, thinking about a concept. I cannot do
You
it
know,
while gaming.
one of my favorite things about that thing that I made for you, that promo, the documentary, whatever you want to call it,
I
was
love it.
when you said give our attention our free time. Was it you and Anya that maybe said that? Or was it you that said that? It doesn't really matter, but like, what do you think of that? Our free time.
Yeah, free time is the sponsor of my podcast. That's my thing. So it's like that's in a description of the YouTube channel. Like I always was fascinated about this idea of not wasting life ever since I lost some of my friends, and I was understanding, oh, I don't have much time. I have to leave. I have to do something. I have to change my life. I have to help people. I have to do something. So I got this mode of time, and I call it free time as a sponsor, as a joke, because it maps onto when do we have time to film things, only when we have free time. But reality is I make this free time. I dedicate my life to doing that. And I spent, like, after each episode, I spent another 5 hours of my free time to edit and to make it nice, the videos. Yeah, so it feels like if I will use my time to make videos that are promoting values, stories, friendship, even enjoying each other's company, all of that, it's like I did not waste my time. It went somewhere useful. I am absolutely grateful for that compilation that you did about line by line. It kind of cracks me open each time I see it.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah, I will provide the link below.
So you and it was Anya. You and Anya were talking in that,
Mm.
and she goes, our attention. It's like the currency of our life is our attention. The attention that we devote to each other. You know, and the attention we devote to the people around us. And I thought, like, when you're in that chair, are you going to remember your accomplishments or your victories? Are you going to remember the people that shared the journey with you?
Yeah. And also, that thing is, you choose to to what cause, to what person you give your time and attention. You choose, and like by the choices you make today, you can pretty much know what will happen tomorrow. if there is like something really important, you want to be with that person and spend time with that person, do it today. Start today, because tomorrow might not give you another chance or something, you know. So like, I usually am very mindful of that. Like, I had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah, I'm learning that about you, and like I've learned so much from our relationship, and like the importance of a relationship. And I come out, I get manic because like you've talked about this before, like some of my journey is mental illness and addiction. And when I get manic, I have all these great ideas, right? I'm going to be a great judo teacher. I'm going to help these kids, you know, I'm going to help form character. I'm going to be a part of my church. I'm going to be a part of the radio station. I'm going to do all these things, but I don't have to follow through. But you know what? Now I'm realizing the importance. I don't have much time. If I want to do it, I have to do it today. And you know what? I don't have to do it. And so often I don't do it because I want to do it perfectly. But you know what? Just do it. DIY. Like I come from the punk music, indie music scene. You know, let's put on a show. I don't know how to put on a show. Just do it.
Actually, agent, it, the idea of perfect is overrated. I have seen perfect creations by AI, and it feels like they have no soul. It's like the music recorded at the studio with entire perfection and no sounds of the street isn't perfect to me. To me, perfect music is the audience screaming, somebody during the song, like that thing. It's perfect. It makes me feel like I'm spending time with those people. Uh, and music in the studio feels like I'm spending time alone somehow. It's a weird concept, perfection.
So, so this next stanza, I just looked at it briefly. It calls to that call to adventure, and I'm a really big Joseph Campbell guy, and that's because I'm a super Star Wars nerd. But I hear the call of a lifetime ring. Felt the need to get up for it. Oh, you cut out the middleman. Well, that's an interesting thing.
It actually does feel like about a Lord of the Rings, though. A call of a lifetime ring, and a call. It actually feels like it was expired. Feels like it was inspired by Tolkien.
Yeah,
um,
oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
call
Like
of the ring, the pipe, and the sleepers. Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. This is a play in words almost.
Mhm. I actually like the idea of cut out the middleman, because there is no middleman coming. You have to do it. There will be no one who will do it and like connect you to the things you want to do.
Like
There will be no
how,
middleman.
how many years could you have wasted working in a network, bringing some executive coffee and say, I got this great idea. I want to do line by line television show. And then, you know, but instead here you are on the internet. Who, who's your producer, Kara?
Nothing. My free time. It's like I dedicate my life to it. That's a big deal for me. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Like
cut out
I.
the middleman, and they cut out the middleman. That DIY ethic that I saw in like indie music scenes. You know, like there's these kids
Mhm.
that when I was in the punk show, they used to have all ages gigs, and basically at that time you could just rent a hall. You have a band. It's like, well, we have nowhere to play. No bars will let us play. Rent a hall. Get your friends together. Sell tickets at your high school. You know, play. Learn to play. That's how you do it. You know. Or
Yeah.
you could try send tapes out to like, I don't know, some major label or whatever. Just do it yourself, DIY.
Yeah, but like people can self-publish now. Agencies will get you to the places that agencies are run by, and for the things you want to do, being the underdog is actually good, because as an underdog, you don't have the boss who is telling you what to do.
They cut out the middleman, right? The
Mhm.
middleman, like the agent, like, I think, Kara, you know what you need to do? You need to do a Dove commercial. I mean, you would do an excellent Dove commercial, by the way. You have wonderful skin. But you know what I mean?
Thank you.
But instead you got your own sponsor, right? You got free time, right? You could have had an agent, you know, but you don't have
Yeah,
an
I
agent.
do. I
Well,
do.
maybe you do have it. I mean, me, but
Yeah, thank you. So that idea that we are small gives us more freedom, let's say. Plus, it's like we don't have much to lose as well. When people kind of tailor their art to get money, so they would forego the things that they actually want to do in order to do something that will sell better. It actually loses its value somehow. Art is the thing that you lived your life, you had your life journey, and then something bubbles up inside and says, I need to get out, draw me, sing me, write about me. This is your art. It's that, like, you give your life to other people, you show it. Yeah.
The artists that inspired me were always the indie bands, right? And like okay, like there's different artists. Like there's some mainstream artists, but like for instance, like I don't know if I should mention a mainstream artist. I'm trying to think. Yeah, and then some of them blew up and some became big, but like they start out doing their own thing. Like I love musicians that have weird voices. Like I'll mention a mainstream artist that I like. There's lots of artists that were. I'll tell you a pretentious story. During the grunge era, it was Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and I went and saw Smashing Pumpkins, and I was so happy I had front row seats. And I go to a friend who listens to all these indie bands, and I'm like, "Oh, I saw Smashing Pumpkins; they were amazing." She goes, "Oh, I feel sorry for you." But then I heard Billy Corgan do an interview. When he was going for shopping for gigs, everyone was telling me he couldn't sing, and his voice isn't like a conventional voice. But yeah, you know, I don't know where I went with that. I don't know why I went that route. But there's so many like independent bands, like Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse. There was a really big indie band that I liked back in the early days, and he's got a lisp. And me and my
Mm-hmm.
friend came and laughed. We listened to him. He's like, he's got that lisp, and it's like, wow, like I love his voice, but he's got a lisp. Like some mainstream guy will go, you're all right, but you can't sing because you got a lisp, right?
I sing with a Russian accent. So like, and my songs, the lyrics written as a foreigner writes the songs. So I just roll with it.
Yeah, if you had an agent other than me, they would say, you need to take accent lessons to lose your foreign accent to appeal to the American market. So you cut out the middleman. You sing songs with friends with your Russian accent. It's great. I
Mm-hmm.
love it.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. So my accent and his South African accent is funny.
So let's see. Would you like to read the next stanza?
Mhm. Get free from the middleman. You got no time for the messenger, got no regard for the thing that you don't understand. You got no fear for the underdog. That's why you will not survive.
Oh, do you this recommend like you got no fear for the underdog? Like you
Mm,
you dismiss. It's like the Karate Kid. Johnny Lawrence is going. This guy can't take me. I'm Cobra Kai, and then this underdog comes out and knocks him out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then also like get free from the middleman. You got no time, got no regard for the thing you don't understand. You don't fear. Yeah, so like they don't understand the art, right? And for some reason, me and you always end up in these conversations about art and like
Mhm.
your journey, right? Like I don't know, I don't know why. It's interesting.
I I am actually really curious about the line. You have no regard for the thing you don't understand.
That reminds me is like you have the artist, and then you have the
Mhm.
people that are trying to like market the artist, and they don't understand what the artist is trying to do. You know.
Oh, that's the thing. So the artist is always the underdog when they have an agent.
So now I know he's big now, but George Lucas, when he had Star Wars,
Mhm.
no one understood what he was trying to do. They all thought it was terrible. It's like, what is this new age garbage, right? Like, and now it's like this huge thing, right? You know?
I really like the idea of force because they said the force is not good or bad. The force is in between things. I really love it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
That's-
it was in one of the latest. Luke was training Ray, and he was explaining you what the force is, so she can harness. It's actually why Jedi were really easily switched from good to bad because it was the same force. They would just change color. It's like it's one of them. The energy is the same thing. One can be harnessed by this good attention paying thing, and the other one by anger. It's still the same. And who is more powerful in it? The righteous or not?
So I'm really conflicted because my two favorite Star Wars characters are one, okay, like in the first Star Wars movies, a friend asked, everyone wants to be Han Solo because he's the cool guy, right? And Luke is kind of like this whiny farm kid, nerdy guy, but I always wanted to be Luke. And then I saw the prequels. You know who I like in the prequels? And I really don't know what to make of this of my dark side.
Yeah.
This guy right here. He looks like the
Oh,
devil.
I just wanted to say he looks a little bit like you for some reason. I don't know if it's the shirt.
Yeah, my Camus Joe shirt.
Yes. Uh, yeah, he looks
And I'm
pretty
disturbed by
cool.
that, but that's another side, right? Like, but it's interesting. The when you say the force is the thing between things,
Hmm.
what's between us is our relationship, right?
Yeah, that's the force. Um,
And that's love, right? Which is the greatest
Everything
force
is
of all.
love. Everything is love. Just people just don't understand it. That's why they
Now we're
perceive it as something else.
now we touch on the dark side. It's funny, the people that we hate the most are the people that we were the closest to that something went wrong with that love, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like if you don't the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference.
yeah. I heard that love has no opposites. It's like the opposite of love is emptiness. And emptiness, the moment you would like open up the emptiness, it will be filled with love. But the closed emptiness, or nothing. Is it
That is profound.
indifference?
So I've been in a book club talking about Kaiji Nishitani,
Hmm.
and his big thing is going through nihility and coming to the understanding of emptiness, and that's like the Buddhist thing. But like you just come out simple in one sentence, just kind of nail the east-west thing there. Nodrik, you always impress me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to forget how conviction fits. I don't understand that. But I can't get out from under it. Can I get it out of me? Oh, conviction. Hmm. Conviction can be like, so I look at conviction in two ways. So one is like negative, like I convict you or a convict, or I kind of judge you. And then I look at it like conviction to your beliefs. Would that be too restrained? How does the conviction? How do you feel about that word?
I actually think that this song precisely written from the perspective of artist arguing with the middleman, with the agent. So
Uh,
artist says, I am the underdog. I have my convictions. I want to promote other underdogs. And the middleman doesn't understand. He says, no, you have to think about this popular subject that will get you stages sold out. And he's like, no, I have a conviction. I will not rewrite my lyrics so that I can sell stages. And so this is, you got no fear for the underdog. That's why you will not survive. And then connected to the thing you just read, gives it a full picture of artist being the underdog, getting rid of the middleman because the middleman doesn't get him and rejects his convictions.
did I also get out of that? So you have the artist. At
Hmm.
first, they're the underdog, and then they lose their art and they maybe sell out or whatever you want to call it. and then they have no respect for the underdog, but then the underdog is the next big thing, right?
Oh, that's also a cool perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the other thing is this totally relates to me. It's funny that I call myself agent in secret radio, but like
Mhm.
my entire big thing with secret radio is to support independent artists, you know, like the other underdogs. And the entire part of being part of campus community radio, which I love, is the mainstream radio is only going to play like the classic rock and all that stuff. And I'm playing the stuff that they won't play, right? And it's kind of funny because sometimes it's annoying because then we play this stuff and suddenly the band gets big and then we're not allowed to play it anymore. It's like, wait a second, we broke this band, you know?
Well, there are some songs that should be out there. They carry a good message, and it's amazing. Like even if it breaks free and like more people hear it, it's great.
Good. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
uh,
and you can be proud that you were there at the beginning of the journey, right? And then they grow up big, right? So one band that I love
yeah.
is U2, and I'm not as much of a
Mhm.
big fan of their early stuff, their new stuff, but their early stuff was amazing. And I remember being on the. So now I talk to my younger people, and they're like, "U2, these bloated rock stars." I remember when I was on the bus talking to my punk rock friend who wore a U2 jacket. People were like, "Ooh, that's an edgy band. Who's that band?" They were considered alternative before alternative, right? And so
Mhm.
that's like, like maybe like, I wonder if, and then you two did this video with a band called Arcade Fire, and they made a joke about how the Arcade Fire was the underdog, and
Mhm.
they were the next big thing, and you two were the has-beens. You know what I mean? Like they made a
Oh,
joke in the video about that. They kind of give the nod to them, but they were kind of very self-referential, very clever, right? So,
I
but
like it.
I'm so glad that songs like I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For broke big. Like that makes me happy because that's an amazing song.
It's like artists when they put out whatever is relatable to other people before they sold out. They actually are changing lives and they actually are helping. And then after selling out, they're like, oh, now we have to
And
do
then
that.
and then there's also the resistance too when some artists like they do a popular thing and everyone wants to keep doing that album, but the artist wants to do something different. And
Mhm.
then they do something different, and then all the people are like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel sorry for Bono. I mean, I shouldn't, but I do a little bit. Uh, like, you know who we don't hear anymore about? NSYNC. Nothing. Like, not even TikTok made them famous. Like, nothing. Just like, they're just gone. Precisely, maybe because they did not branch out, they did not do anything else, didn't do anything different. And plus, they cannot be called a boy band, but they're man band now, so they should do something manly. I don't know.
So
About
how does that
dancing.
match for you? How does that match for you? I want to forget how conviction fits. What does that mean?
I want to forget how conviction fits. Hold on, let me take a look how it's
And sometimes
written.
conviction could mean to me being slave to your belief. You know what I mean? Maybe not.
Mm,
Doesn't
I
matter.
cannot get out from under it. So there is this conviction of me serving a purpose, and I would like to forget it, but I can't forget it because I have a purpose. So I think he's arguing with an agent who is telling him to change his style, and
Yeah.
here is like this argument. I actually want to read here the next part because he continues the argument. It can't all be wedding cake. It can't all be boiled away. I try, but I can't let go of it. Can't let go of it.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Like, okay, there's those songs that are cheesy and really popular that you love. But those are great wedding songs. You know what I mean? Those songs get you out on the dance floor, right? Like, I don't know what would be a classic wedding song. Like, I don't know, like just I don't know, Whitney Houston or something, right? You know what I mean? Like, like wedding songs that the songs that deserve to be big. But at the same time, like the really artistic is on the edge, right? I can't always make the wedding cake song. Sometimes there's something that's driving me that I want to that I want to be innovative and unique, and that's on the edge, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't like his conviction was to present the thing that boiled up, but then he can't get it out because they tell him to write a wedding song and stuff like it's
or,
like
or
I
like or like
can't.
like okay, like here's another story because I'm
Hmm.
talking about mainstream artists that work. So Nirvana, when I was first saw Nirvana, I didn't even know who they were. So I went to the Nirvana gig. I bought the Skin Barn tape. Do you know who Skin Barn is? No one knows who Skin Barn is. Everyone knows. But my friend's Nirvana tape broke in the car. My shitty stereo ate his tape. And because Nirvana was such an unknown band at that time, he was so upset because he would never find another Nirvana tape. Like, where was he going to buy that? So we took the tape apart and we taped it back together and screwed it up and rewinded it. And then that year, their hit song Teen Spirit came out and they blew up big. And now you can find Nirvana in every single record store in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Nirvana, they made that album and then they wanted them to make that album again. And instead they made In Utero. And when they made In Utero, it was so
Mhm.
edgy. The critics hated it and all the fans hated it because it wasn't Teen Spirit. You know what I mean? And they got a lot of
Yeah.
backlash for that. But they were pursuing their artistic vision. And that artistic vision was not the wedding cake song, was not Teen Spirit. It was Heart Shaped Box.
Well, first of all, that brings memories. I remember taking the little whatever tape and then making stripe
Yeah, that's what we
with
had to do. You put the pen
jigsaw
in to
on
wind it
the
back.
other side. So like that's together because like and then when it would play, you could kind of hear and then it would continue
Yeah.
playing. That's amazing. I actually think I kind of want to find that sound that's of chewed tape, like the actual sound of chewed tape, and then mix it into something, and
You know
then
what's
like.
funny?
Hmm.
You know what's funny is tapes are coming back. I never thought they would because they're the shittiest thing ever, right? So,
Oh my
because they fall
God!
apart, they
Really?
get eaten. You pull it out of the tape deck, and all those tapes around, and you got to take a pen and wind it
Hmm.
back up. But because vinyl is really
I had
popular,
this. I was doing that very quickly.
so vinyl has resurfaced, become really popular. So punk rock bands used to produce on vinyl because it was cheap.
Hmm.
But now everyone's reprinting Pink Floyd on vinyl. So the punk guys can't go to the record companies and print their albums anymore.
Hmm.
So they're printing them on
Oh.
cassette tapes. So like there are like punk rock kids that are buying cassette tapes again and putting cassette things in their cars and stuff. I don't understand it myself, but isn't that weird? Like it, yeah.
I think it's like time travel. And it's good if you can use your music to time travel to the times where music was good. It's an interesting idea, putting your music on a cassette as a as as this kind of token to the good old days when the music was actually really really good somehow.
But cassettes work better than CDs for cars because you could just throw them on the
Mhm.
floor and step on them and just shove them in the deck, and then you could just re-record. Yeah, anyways, we're kind of going off topic, but yeah, is there any bands that
I
you can think
miss
of?
cassettes.
Is there any bands that you think that blew up
Yeah.
that you could imagine wanting a wedding cake song? What would be a wedding cake song for you? Did
Wedding
you have a
cake
wedding cake
song,
song?
wedding cake song for me was "You are too good to be true, can't take my eyes off of you. You will be like heaven to touch and I hold you so much." You know,
Who is that?
I don't know. I think it's Frank Sinatra. I
Oh,
love you, baby.
oh
Da,
yeah,
da,
yeah,
da,
yeah.
da, da, I need you, baby. It's like the first time I heard that song, it was a video about a stalker. So it's called. so, so the video was like the movie was called A Conspiracy Theorist or something. It was Mel Gibson. So he's this taxi driver who is like driving around and stalking Julia Roberts. And then at some point, so she's working out on this, I don't know, working out thingy treadmill. And so she runs and she's listening to the song. And he's like, I have to know what she's listening to. So apparently there were no cassette players at that time. So she probably was listening to the radio. So he was like going through all the radio stations. And by the way she's moving her lips, he was like, that song. And the song, I love you, baby. So he's sitting in the car. So she's running and singing that song. And he's like in a car singing together with her. And I was like, wow, that's so romantic. And then I was like, I thought that song is exactly the wedding cake song. And there is another song, which is that when the night is long and the moon is dark.
Oh, I love that song. Stand by me.
Stand by. Darling, darling, stand by me. Whoa. Yes. It's like, and the night, and now.
That's a
It's
great
like,
bass line. Dum, do, do, dum, dum, do, do,
do,
dum,
do, do.
dum,
Doom,
do, do, dum,
doo, doom,
dum.
doom, 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 doom. It's an excellent song. Okay, what other wedding song? Like, oh my god, you got me started on wedding songs.
But
Yeah,
okay, so how about a wedding song versus an edgy artistic song?
edgy artistic song. Oh my god, all of the edgy artistic songs are for me mindless self-indulgence. That's very edgy, very artistic.
Like big bands, eh? You know, like it's a good thing we aren't playing any music. We'd be demonetized. But hey, we promoted people. Go listen to Stand By Me and U2 and Smash
Yeah,
Pumpkins and mindless self-indulgence. We're
yeah.
talking about the tape thing and this band Spoon.
Hmm.
The first Spoon song I heard was on a What's Up Matador. Matador was this
Hmm.
independent label. And their first song was Don't Buy the Realistic. You know what a realistic was? The realistic was a really shitty, cheap tape deck that you bought. So me and my friends we had like shitty tape decks with these shitty realistic speakers and listening to like Nirvana and Dead Kennedys on these crappy car speakers. Then we were young, so we cranked it and the speakers all distorting and then the tape sound and so Spoon's first song, Don't Buy the Realistic. So I listened to Spoon on a realistic stereo, right?
No.
Which is funny that realistic sounds like a good thing, but it was a cheap stereo.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next line.
Okay, so because you don't talk to the water boy, and there's so much you could learn, but you don't want to know. You will not back up an inch ever. That's why you not survive. You know this suggests to me talking to the water boy.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought like because
I
me and
remember
you.
the movie.
My latest joke is like, I talked to Kara Nodrik on the podcast. I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
And Kara Nodrik is the water boy of this little corner.
No, but Kara, when I'm a big deal, I'm gonna still talk to you little people. I'm gonna remember you. No, but just joking. But seriously, like paying attention to the, like I don't know, I'm a servant in the hospital, but you know what? Patients always thank me. Nurses thank me. Doctors they appreciate me. They talk like I'm the water boy. You know what I mean? The water boy, like this, the quarterback's important, but the water boy, hey, if the quarterback's not hydrated, he's not gonna make that winning touchdown, right? So it's
No,
important to
he's
remember
on
the
a
water boy.
team. He's a part of the team. Like,
Yeah.
he's important part of the team. Also, like for me, it's very important not to lose sight of person. Like some people see status. I don't. I see people, and it's really important to me not to lose the sight of it. The moment I feel like, oh, I paying attention to the status, this is the big
Ooh,
star for me.
this
And
this this totally speaks to that. You have someone that's like they're edgy, then
mhm,
they break it big into status. And sometimes you see all the time stars or rock stars, they forget where they came from. You know what I mean? And they stop paying attention to the water boy. They forget that they, you know what I mean? All of a sudden they're like, I'm a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you think you're a big deal and you think that you know you're too important for the water boy, that's when the underdog will come up and he'll take your place.
It's just like, what's the point then? Like, honestly,
But really, yeah,
I,
it's about relationship. Like, yeah, you said, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see status, you see people.
mhm, exactly.
Like, yeah, you can't ever forget.
Sometimes status gets in the way of a person. Like, a person is so
So,
caught up in the status, it can't talk. Like that, the person would not be able to talk to you because status. And I
so,
was like, ah,
so
open
me and you
up.
are like, I mean, you're encouraging me to engage more in the public sphere, and you're in the public sphere, right? So I thought about this. Being famous, rich and famous might be okay. That might be okay. Being just rich would definitely be probably be okay. I think that'd be a good thing. Being just famous would suck. You
Poor and famous.
know?
Oh. I mean, I actually,
Of course,
I
Jesus was poor and famous, but whatever.
Yeah. No, I, I honestly don't believe it's that easy to get famous without the agent. So I'm really grateful you're here.
Hashtag I don't know if you know this, but I made a documentary and it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
The best thing about the documentary is your appreciation, though. Thank you. That meant so much to me.
yeah. I always appreciate people spending their time, effort, and attention to do stuff for other people. That's amazing. It's like it's not enough of that in the world. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
we could be doing so much with other time, but here we are hanging out and having a good time, sharing music.
Yeah, thank you. The thing that I tell you now, it may not go over well, or and it may not be the photo op in the way that I spell it out.
Oh, this is all about this. We were just talking about fame, right? The photo
Mhm.
op, that fake kind of like, here I am with the little man or something. You know what I mean? But it's when the camera's not on you. It's when you're not being watched. It's when you show compassion, when you do the right thing when no one's watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what counts. You know what I mean? Not like, if I do something nice, I say, Nodrik, you can't believe this amazing thing I did, like, I don't know.
I would believe it. Would believe. It's just like I meet different people, and I meet people who do good things off camera for other people. They actually do it, um, not for fame, not for nothing. It will not be in public sphere at all. They just privately go and help others. But then there are people who don't do anything at all, and they go into public eye and like and all pump up like we are important. Like why? Like what did you do? Like is there anything to back up that claim? Don't you dare to ask. So that happened as well. So like,
This is what I thought. Like, I don't think I would necessarily want to be famous because, like, what does that
mhm,
mean, right? Like, what do likes mean? You know what I mean? I got 1,000 likes on my video. You know what? I got 14 likes on my video that I did with Manuel or something. You know what? That's amplifying my ideas 14 times. That's a lot. I don't need a million. I have 10 times is a lot. But I was thinking, if there was such a thing as fame, like, what do you do
mhm,
with that? What do you do? That's a power, right? Like, how do you make the world a better place? And we talk about Bono, and like I kind of like shit on YouTube's newer stuff or whatever. And then I
mhm.
had this spiritual crisis, and I went back and listened to Unforgettable Fire and Joshua Tree, and I was like, wow, like those are amazing spiritual albums. And then I saw an interview with him, and so I'm going to tell you my fame story.
Mhm.
When I watched Rattle and Hum, I idolized Bono, right? and he had long hair and he was handsome and young. And the millennials don't know that he was that way. And I watched that video and I had a receding hairline, and all I wanted to have was long hair like Bono. Because he was famous, I knew that I would get older, but I always thought he would always look like he did in that movie, Rattle and Hum.
Mm-hmm.
So lately I've been seeing Bono, right? And we're talking about mortality and stuff. He doesn't look like that anymore. And it kind of disturbs me to see his mortality. And I thought, huh, that's an interesting thing. But then he was talking about his wife and him, and he brought Mikhail Gorbachev, and you might relate to this too. And then Mikhail Gorbachev sees this child who's like her. I can't remember. There's a link on my Secret Radio Facebook page, and he carries this, lifts the child up on his lap, and oh, look at this little child in Russian, right? And this child was from a family that had been involved in Chernobyl, and so Bono, in his relationship with his fame, related to Mikhail Gorbachev and had like this charity for kids that were born in Chernobyl. That's wow, that's amazing. So what would you do? Like, what would you like? What are you gonna do? And it's all about your relationship. You don't have to be famous, right? You could just, like just, you know,
I think if I were famous, I would talk to people more somehow. Like I would maybe hire people who would do the editing, so I have more time to talk to people. And so I would do my favorite thing, which is talking to people. So that's my goal. And maybe at the end, I would write some book about how to pierce through social media persona to the real person, my
mm.
experience, which worked for me.
So you know what? So
Yeah.
I thought if I would write a book, so I never got my black belt in karate, right? It's all I wanted. And but now I'm gonna get my black belt in judo. And they're like, "Oh, Sensei Corey," and I'm like, "I'm not a sensei. I'm a senpai. So senpai is senior." But
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know this. In karate, it was senpai. Senpai was just a higher belt. So we thought it was all about status. I remember this one older guy getting really mad that he had to call this
Mm-hmm.
kid senpai. But in Japan, senpai means something different. They have a senpai kohai relationship. So senpai is like your older brother who helps mentor you as a kohai. And it's really important to have senpai kohai, and you respect your older brother, and the senpai like encourages you, right? So there's this one kid in judo, and he's kind of lazy. He's kind of like nerdy, a little bit big, doesn't quite fit in, but he's really strong and stuff, right? And like he annoyed the hell out of me. And finally I said, you know what? This kid needs someone to be his senpai, right? So if I wrote a book about my martial arts journey, I would not call it sensei or master. I call it senpai. So that's my story.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So to be a mentor to people, you're actually already on the way there. Not even through the practice, but you're starting your podcast, you're starting Secret Radio. You already did a couple of episodes which are really, really excellent. Guys, please check it out. I will provide the link below. And you are on the way there. And when you talk to other people and you get those perspective, what you also do, except putting out the stories on the internet, you gather information, you learn, you know what to put in the written word, and actually knowing how you work. So you have this artistic way of working. A lot of artists work like it. So they work through knives.
Manic.
Yeah,
Crazy
like that's
music.
how I work. Like no, but to me it's not. I do not judge it. I actually understand it. Manic state is really useful for me. It's like I really like. I enjoy it. Like it's sometimes people function like that, and when others, no,
So
no, it's wrong. Well,
you know what I know when I'm on
mhm,
something? So the other day I had to go train Wing Chun with my Wing Chun Sifu, and I forgot all about it because I just done the thing with Griswold Grimm, and I was in it. I was like editing. I was like, I gotta get this done. I'm consumed by this. I won't finish this until I can't sleep until it's done. And then he calls me and I forgot, oh shoot, I got sucked into it, right? I'm sure you get that sometimes when you're doing the editing and stuff. What's
Yeah.
interesting, we're always talking about our artistic journey, and I always hope that someone will watch this and they'll see Kara Nodrik and Agent and say, like they're relating to my journey, and that's what the song is. You know what I mean? It's all about the journey of the underdog. And like you may think you're the underdog, you're nobody, you're in this independent punk band or indie band, or maybe you're some aspiring actor or some artist. And like, yeah, so all this relates to that experience, right? And here we are at the beginnings of our journey, right? And hopefully we'll go on more. But even if it doesn't, Kara, even if you get no more subscribers, I just want to know that you're teaching me about how to relate to other people and the importance of relationships has been like it's been one of my greatest spiritual insights this year, like over this time. So thank you.
Thank you for being my teacher. You actually also taught me a lot. And when I look at my line by lines, I think like you had been in a lot of them. Like you are one of the champions of my line by lines. So I especially like the episode 69. People check it out. So
I didn't know that I did that one.
yeah, we did a Frank Sinatra song. And actually, all the avatars on YouTube and everywhere is with you, like from that
So can
episode.
I tell you my underdog story?
Hmm.
So one of my favorite movies was Karate Kid. So I got the chance to go to Montreal and compete in a karate tournament. And I made it to the end and I fought their champion, Jules, 6'2" tall black guy, amazing karate cut. He was kicking me all over the place. And before I went to the tournament, I would step back from the bag. I pushed this. I couldn't get to the dojo, so at home I took the sleeping bag and I tied it to the roof. And I would push the bag and I'd step back and roundhouse kick, push it. So I imagined someone would attack me and I'd step back, roundhouse kick it. All judo. Jules is kicking me. He's winning easily. He's got it. Suddenly I look down, he's on the ground. What happened? I did that move just instinctively. And then all of a sudden they all ran up to me, right? And like, you beat
Oh,
our champion. And I was like, holy cow, my life, I lived the Karate Kid. That was my experience. I love this movie and that happened to me, right?
you did the wax on, wax off.
And now I'm in the hospital. And what do I do all day? Wax on, wax off. I like clean
Oh,
the
you must
door.
be ripped.
Clean the That's what I do. Like, what's funny, and I even like do judo moves. Like, I'll go to take the garbage out, and I'll do like a
Mhm.
crouch down low so that I can. So yeah, my cleaning experience is all like just extension of my martial arts training.
No, it first of all, you gather stories, you gather information, you learn, plus you do physical training. It's like, dude, I think this is valuable. You're like you live in the adventure every day. So you go into work and you don't know what will happen there. It's actually all the time new people, like almost all the time. You have the same core
Yeah.
workers, but like you kind of in there. Plus, with good sense of humor and playfulness, work with people can be massive joy. Massive. Like you can make everybody smile around you. You can actually entertain the sad people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this lady was like, occasionally you'll be in a room and they'll tell you their story, right? I'll be like,
Mhm.
"Hi, how are you?" And they're obviously not doing well. They're in the hospital, right? And I've learned that you can kind of divert them. And this one lady, she was kind of sad because she just got in a car accident or thing. And then I'm like, "Oh wow," and I said, and then somehow we got into talk about Tai Chi. And then she started telling me that she was a Tai teacher and how much it helped her in her that how her learning that balance from Tai Chi is helping her overcome after this horrible car accident. And then so I got her onto that topic, right? And then I had another conversation with a lady. I'm like, oh, I detect an accent. Where are you from? And then like just relating to people. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Yeah, no, there's so many opportunities to relate to people at my work. And it's been really good for me because I'm like borderline autistic at times, right? So
Me too. Probably. It's like I don't know, just people just tell me sometimes. It's like, are you? And it's like, maybe. And I kind of own up to it. I think if you gather those stories in your head and you sit down on paper and you journal about them, here is every day what I see with my eyes. Let me relate it to you. You can even have a vlog where you, on a secret radio, when you sit down. Today, this story happened to me. Like every day, a small story for people to notice other people, like
You know, so
us
like so,
human beings.
so like this story we're talking about, just do it. Avoid the
Mm-hmm.
middleman. Just do it. Start today. You don't have much time. You want to write that novel? Start today. So when I was on the ships, I was like, my everything was about getting enough money to go to film school, to learn how to do keyboards and like electronic music and video editing and all this stuff. And I was going to cost me like $10,000 to go to this school, right? And then I couldn't go. What am I doing now? Thanks to knowing you, I'm video editing on my computer. I have this music studio. I could write. I have all the technology to do all these things, you know. So I don't know if I'm going to do it in my life. I don't know, but maybe someone out there is listening, and this is for you. Just do it. Kara's doing it. You can do
Yeah, guys, just do it. Yeah, honestly,
it.
just do it. And the last stanza.
But you won't hear from the messenger. Don't want to know about something that you don't understand. You got is that the last stanza? Got no fear of the underdog. So I guess he just repeats the chorus, right? Hmm. But you don't want to hear from the messenger. Oh, that's interesting. What does the messenger tell you? Like we're kind of the messenger here, right? Like we have this message of our creative journey and where we are in our path, right? And maybe
Yeah,
someone's hearing it, maybe someone's not, right? But
yeah.
like
We just gave a message to people.
this is so much fun.
Uh, I really enjoyed so much this podcast. I'm happy that you're the opening act of the season two.
Oh yeah. And you know what's funny is now it's also this week is the opening the first radio show of the
Mhm.
new year of Secret Radio. So
Yay!
and then we're talking about me being involved with the community. So there's a meeting on the future of the radio station, and it's going to be after my show. So wish me luck.
People wish Agent luck and subscribe, check out all the links below. Use your free time to just do it. And bye.
That was our
Goodbye.
best.
Thank you. You tell it every time.
So I fought this one giant, and he was
Mhm.
a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like a really good one. And
Ooh.
everyone's like, "Oh, dude!" And then this old guy came up because I was the
Mhm.
I was small for the David division, and I was old, and all these
Oh,
young guys, right? And he comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, it's good to see." You know, he was inspired almost that some old dude, some old tiny guy was fighting the
you're not
giant.
that old. Come on.
I struck my alarm. It's time for me to wake up. Maybe ironic. Why are you laughing?
Because it's like it's time for me to wake up.